who's reached his first PDC final. And he's
Bullseye.
got a fairly simple task ahead of him. Not.
Well, I know Michael van Gerwen won yesterday in the final and won 6-0. But if you look at the finals that he's made in Barnsley this year, well, this is his 6th. He's only won 2 of the previous 5. Surely James Wilson, on that stat, is the favourite here, Murph.
Well, he's matching him blow for blow here. Well, until then. As Van Gerwen pegs the bullseye and will throw first in this final. MVG beating Mensur Suljovic 6-0 yesterday.
41.
Well, both these guys have had to win 6 games to get here. Nobody has pushed Michael van Gerwen to even a deciding leg over today's action and yesterday. The most we've seen was Alan Tabben took 4 legs off him earlier today. John Henderson took 4 off him yesterday as well. Whereas James Wilson, he has been in a couple of scraps.
140.
Jermaine Watermain, it was only that crucial break in what turned out to be the penultimate leg of the match that gave Wilson the advantage. He beat Vincent van der Voort 6-5 earlier on, but he's also seen off Raymond van Barneveld, the 5-time world champion today.
Yeah, we've had his last couple of matches on this board, on the live streaming. Wilson very impressive in beating Barney, and then finished the job well against Jermaine Watermain to get through to his first final. But Michael van Gerwen is a different beast for any darts player to face. In fact, yesterday's win against Mensur Suljovic was the 19th time that Michael van Gerwen has whitewashed his opponent, so he's looking for his 20th win to 0 in this match.
Well, the only meeting I could find on record between these two was at the UK Open qualifiers back in February. In the last 32, Michael van Gerwen beat James Wilson 6-0. So there's one of them.
Well, Wilson, his trebling has been fantastic in the games that we've seen on the live stream boards. Michael van Gerwen, bull left, bully hits, a 90 checkout for MVG. Interesting route to go, but effective, and he found the target and he's 1-0 up.
Well, it's got to be ominous for James Wilson when Michael van Gerwen steps up, takes out a bull finish in the very first leg. He does make a habit of crushing people's hopes and dreams, Michael van Gerwen. Seems to revel in it. Did that to Dimitri Vandenberg in the semi-finals. Misses out on a 180 there. Yeah, beat Dimitri 6-3. First time ever Dimitri had made it through to the semi-finals of a senior PDC ranking event. And this is, of course, James Wilson's first final. But you can't say this hasn't been coming from James Wilson when you look at his recent results.
No, we've mentioned earlier today, he's kind of been simmering away for a long time, and then all of a sudden, he's gone off like a firework, James Wilson. 3 semi-finals before today, so that's 4 in 6 now for James Wilson. 5 in 6 quarter-finals, so real good run of form.
Yeah, and that one where he didn't make the quarter-finals, he was beaten in the last 16 on the Euro Tour by Raymond van Barneveld, who averaged 108 against him. So it's taking Herculean efforts to stop James Wilson winning games of darts. Now, unfortunately for James Wilson, that bloke in the green makes it his business to produce Herculean efforts on the dartboard on a regular basis.
Yeah, and makes them look unlike Herculean efforts, Michael van Gerwen, and he's first to a finish against a throw, but Wilson will make him take it out.
You know, he's not going to be flustered, Wilson. You know that. He's won loads of titles in the BDO. And, oh, it's happened again. That happened twice for Michael van Gerwen against Dimitri Vandenberg. So close was his dart to the previous one. You think, oh, great grouping, throwing well. But he smashed into the flight. It's cost him a dart at the double there. And Wilson is going to get 2 at double 16 to level a match at 1 apiece. Got to take your luck where you can get it. James Wilson's got some, but he's made the most of it. 50 check out, 1 apiece.
Interestingly, Van Gerwen had lobbed the following dart into the treble 20 to leave double 5, but that didn't matter in the end. He doesn't get that leg, so Wilson levels. It won't be a 20th whitewash for Van Gerwen. Will there be a 28th victory in a row? 27 matches Michael van Gerwen's winning streak extends to. His longest ever in the PDC's 31 wins.
Well, he could break that tomorrow. But James Wilson could see it come crashing down here. But as we've already intimated, it's going to take something special.
Yeah, he could break it tomorrow, and you can watch it live here on the PDC live stream as Wilson looks to produce something special.
140.
He's a very, very consistent thrower. Rarely slips into the 5 or 1. And when he gets that first dart right even, he often follows it.
Yeah, one of James Wilson's problems that we've seen, particularly this month, and indeed on the European tour where we've seen quite a lot of him, it seems to be, and I don't fully understand it, something about the mechanics, the aerodynamics of how he throws his darts. Sometimes he has them slap against the board and they don't seem to stick, as Van Gerwen, another one, does he go for it? The bullseye? He does, but he misses, hits the 25. But it's actually Van Gerwen these last couple of games who's had problems with the darts not actually sticking in. He keeps clattering into his own flights.
Yeah, Wilson has already indicated that he will be competitive in this match. Already done a little bit better than Mensur Suljovic did yesterday, as Van Gerwen looks at double 8 for a 2-1 league and pins it.
Well, the thing that James Wilson has got going for him is that he does know how to win tournaments, and big ones at that. Obviously, he won the World Trophy 2014, Zyder down as well, made the World Masters final. He's got bags of experience. It's just that it's taken a while for him to find his feet in PDC darts, and now that he does appear to have found them, and quite spectacularly, you have to say, over the last month or so, then we don't really know how good he could be. I mean, if this is James Wilson's game, this is what to expect from James Wilson from now on, then he's just going to shoot up the rankings.
Yeah, he's certainly finding some consistency.
140.
James Wilson, quarters and semi-finals. Michael van Gerwen is finding consistency in finals. 10 in a row for MVG.
Yeah, it's brutal, isn't it? And he's won 7 of the previous 9. It could be 8 out of 10 here. But Wilson will have something to say about that.
Yeah, in fact, yesterday was Michael van Gerwen's 100th PDC final. A 73% win rate. The maths are pretty easy to do when he's done 100, but 101 today.
Yeah, he's pretty good. But James Wilson looking good here to make it 2 apiece. And if he can just stick with Van Gerwen, give himself opportunities, he is beatable. Look at this, double 14, James Wilson.
93.
Interesting that he went for the treble 11. I mean, a lot of players do like double 14, but MVG not on a finish. He could have gone any route he wanted.
134.
That puts some pressure on. 134 from Michael van Gerwen leaves the 116. Wilson now looking at double 14. Now for double 7, and that's why I thought that it was a strange leave for him. But it doesn't matter, does he? Pin the double 7, 2 apiece.
Yeah, and you do fancy Michael van Gerwen to take shots like 116.
14.
The door would have been slightly open for Michael van Gerwen, but Wilson slammed it shut. And again, he finds a treble with his first start and the second.
140.
We've seen a number of players in PDC darts who have demonstrated that it takes time to learn how to win finals. Brendan Dolan made 8 before he finally won one. Once he got the knack, he kept on doing it. To a lesser degree, Mensur Suljovic, he took 12 attempts to get through the semi-finals before he made it to the final. And then he made 2 in a row.
41.
And then another. It can be a knack of learning how to cope with these big games. But as I said earlier, James Wilson has got all that experience from his BDO days, which wasn't very long ago, of getting to big finals and knowing how to produce his best and produce darts good enough to win them. Although it's fair to say that even though he had some serious opponents, the likes of Stephen Bunting, They weren't MVG, and MVG looks at double 18. He'll come back with 3 darts in his hand, looking for 36 for a 3-2 lead.
Yeah, well, we're all on throw at the moment, but James Wilson will have to break Michael van Gerwen after MVG won the bullseye. Darts like this would help. Puts a bit of pressure on the 36, but Michael van Gerwen is not a man who feels pressure, and he proves that there by bedding the double, and he edges in front at the halfway point of this match.
Well, no discernible change in James Wilson's demeanour throughout the entire course of the last couple of days. Every time we've seen him, every time you see him on stage, it's just the same business face on.
140.
I did wonder in the semi-final if he'd get a touch of sort of finish line fever against Jermaine Wattimena. In fact, it was Wattimena who missed one dart to go 5-4 up himself, and James Wilson just did the business from that point.
120.
Michael van Gerwen has been doing the business all year. Yesterday was his 17th title. He won 18 in the whole of last year, so well on course to beat that. And we can start talking about it. The record of Phil Taylor in 2008 was 24 titles. That is now looking very, very breakable.
Yeah, it certainly is. And MVG is obviously wanting to win all
60.
the big ones. I mean, he does turn up to pretty much everything. He would have done all 3 Euro Tour events if it wasn't for the injury that kept him out of one of them.
58.
But then the 2 he did turn up to, he won. Because that's what he does. Wilson has an opportunity here, though, to hold his throne. Now, 180 would leave tops. That's what he's aiming for, and that's what he might well get. James Wilson. Ooh, has to settle for the ton 40, but 80 should mean he gets at least 1 dart at the double to level things up at 3 apiece.
58.
So the Yorkshireman coming back, looking at 80. He goes traditional ways, so he wants a single 20. For double 20, moves across the hockey, looking for a clear path to the double.
60.
And he hasn't found one, and Michael van Gerwen will get a shot at 1-2-4, and this is the kind of shot that wins him titles.
Treble 18 and Bull gets the treble. Bullseye MVG. Massive moment. Takes a second. Bull.
90.
Only the 25. Wilson survives for now. Needs to kill this leg off at this visit. Double 10 for the Jammy Dodger. Oh, lethal biscuit. 3-3.
Well, he's not having it all his own way, Michael van Gerwen. Wilson showing no signs of buckling under the pressure of a first big PDC final.
When he knows to break Michael van Gerwen, which is what he's going to have to do, he may well have to produce a 12-dart leg. Now, even if he does, or even if he puts himself in a position to do that, there's nothing to suggest Michael van Gerwen doesn't go out in 12 and deny him the opportunity. He's already thrown a 9-darter today against Simon Whitlock. That was the second one we had today. Jeffrey de Graaf hit one earlier on against Chris Dobie in the very first leg of their match. Still managed to lose it. But Michael van Gerwen has shown he is in the mood. Both yesterday, 2 6-0 wins. Mensah in the final. Adrian Lewis on the way as well. Throws a 9-darter today. Finds himself in the final. Oh, Michael, he says.
Yeah, well, maybe signs of frustration, because Michael van Gerwen had got the job done by now yesterday. 6 legs played, and he was off hunting out some restaurant to have his dinner in. But James Wilson has stayed with MVG, and Michael van Gerwen releasing signs of frustration. But the way he deals with frustration is by hitting big trebles, and there's a 180 from MVG.
Maximum from MVG gets him down to a finish. Wilson still has an opportunity to find that break. Needs to find at least 1 treble, you feel. Gets 1. 2 makes it a very real possibility.
100.
Just the 1. 104 is gettable, but when you're MVG, 147 is very gettable. But not if you hit the skinny 5. Chance for Wilson.
Big chance for a break for James Wilson. He can only possibly get one dart double unless he did something silly like went 54 bull, but he won't be doing that. 104. I'm assuming he wasn't going 54 bull. Is that in the treble?
I don't think it is.
54.
No, it isn't. James Wilson, chance missed, but MVG may only get one dart himself, and it is going to be one dart. It's double 18 for 4-3. Gets it. Massive finish from MVG. It's only a 66, but in the context of the game, with Wilson sat there waiting, he may not get many better chances to break Michael van Gerwen's throw.
Well, he's got to keep keeping hold of his own, James Wilson, and any visit without a treble on his throw, you would expect to be punished by this man, Mighty Mike.
96.
Still sticking with Van Gerwen, Wilson, but he knows time is running out, and they're two blocker darts, and Wilson is one of these players who will stubbornly try and work his way to the treble 20, even if he looks to have made life difficult for himself. Against Jermaine Watamene, he was very successful in plotting his way through to the 60.
Well, MVG not happy with himself. 4-3 up in this final, but Wilson looking in good shape in this leg, looking in much better shape now.
121.
The last dart has gone wandering into the one, but still MVG will need big trebles and is not getting them.
57.
Yeah, absolutely savage pull down into the thin bit of the one from James Wilson there. He's not been punished for it by MVG. And again, look, you see him move across. He wants to get to that. And you can understand why, because 100 would leave 160.
43.
Yeah, and that's the downside to that. When it comes off, brilliant. You're left with an easier checkout than you might have been. But the problem is, you can end up with no checkout, and Michael van Gerwen steps in, fires in his second 180 of this encounter. He's on a finish. Wilson is not. And after having a sniff of a chance to break Van Gerwen in the previous leg, and he was unable to take it, it may be Van Gerwen who is about to break Wilson and go within a leg of a second title in 2 days.
All 7 legs in this final have gone to the player who threw first. Michael van Gerwen with the best chance to break so far, and he will get a dart at double top. And he's hit it. 108 checkout for Michael van Gerwen, and is that the killer blow that condemns James Wilson to defeat in this final? MVG is 1 leg away from a double here in Barnsley.
James Wilson has not broken MVG once in this match. He is going to have to break him twice if he is going to overcome the world number 1. And MVG kicks off 180. He may be set to finish this in some style.
Well, he's already hit a 9-darter today, as mentioned, Michael van Gerwen. Surely he couldn't do it in the final leg of a final. Could he? No, he can't.
Well, not yet. We may yet have more legs in this final, but it's going to take something big from James Wilson here. And treble 1 is not big enough. That's better. Good adjustment from the jammy dodger.
123.
Oh, great stuff. Look, he's sticking in there. He's making Van Gerwen earn this. But he is earning it. Look at this. Another one. A little smirk from Van Gerwen. Ton 40 gets down to 84. Potential 11 dart leg coming in from MVG on his own throw. The only way that you stop those is with perfection yourself. And James Wilson has not been able to produce that in this leg. It may be curtains for the Yorkshireman here in Barnsley.
Well, Van Gerwen went out in 11 darts to finish off Mensur Suljovic yesterday. Doesn't do it in 11 today. Or 12, and Wilson will get a shot to break Van Gerwen back.
Not been able to do it in this match, has to do it twice. 98 stands between James Wilson and staying alive in this final. Treble 20, 2 at double 19 for 5-4. Got to go. Misses inside, clipping the wire. Surely that is that.
Double 3 for MVG. And he gets it. Michael Van Gerwen is a Players' Championship 15 winner, following up his win yesterday. Michael Van Gerwen, brilliant in Barnsley once again. Will he make a hat-trick tomorrow? We will find out when Players' Championship 16 takes place. It will be streamed live via livepdc.tv. I've been Chris Murphy with Dan Dawson in commentary. Michael Van Gerwen, well, it's Mike Almighty once again. MVG the winner.